This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everybody. It is March 4th, and this is the Park and Rec meeting. I'm just going to go and do a roll call. When I call your name, please say here. Debbie.
Here.
Candace.
You're muted.
Sorry, here.
Kathy.
Here.
Caitlin.
Here.
Sean.
I'm here.
Okay, everyone's here. We have a full attendance. Let's see. The first thing on the agenda is, there's no public presentations, are there? Sean? Well, there's nobody else on except us, so.
No public presentations.
Okay. The number one is discussion and any necessary action regarding approving the Park and Recreation meetings from January 7th. Has anybody looked that over? And can I get a motion in a second?
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes.
Okay, Caitlin makes a motion. And second?
I'll second.
Who said that? Kathy?
Me.
Okay. Who seconded?
Kathy. Kathy, copy.
Okay. Okay. All in favor? I'm going to go down the list myself. Yay. Debbie?
Aye.
Candace?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
And Caitlin?
Aye.
Okay, that's one down. Number two, discussion and any necessary action regarding designing specific plots of land as parkland. Caitlin, you want to take that over because this came from you?
Yeah, it was just a couple quick things on this. So a couple months ago during one of the city council meetings, they had a discussion about possibly selling off some of the land that we originally had in our parks master plan as designated parks. So I didn't know, for one, if we needed to designate certain plots of land in Rome as parkland so we don't lose those for our master plan. Also, I didn't know if certain plots of land also needed to be designated as parkland in order to get grants, because I'm not 100% sure how the grants for parks work.
From what I understand. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
Okay. Yeah, there's different scenarios. If it hasn't been designated parkland and we go for grants, because most of your grants, well, basically all your grants for parkland, which is through Texas Parks and Wildlife, have to be 50% match. And so we're going to kind of talk about this twice. And so if you have land that's owned by the city but not designated parks, in the city designated parks, based on the value of the land, you can use that towards your 50% match, if that's understandable.
Well, I think
Yes.
what she's asking, Sean, is she's worried about the council taking the parks and selling the property.
Yeah, it was both. It was like a two-parter on that one.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
So with that scenario, one is that if, again, it can be good, it can be bad. If it's not designated, then we can use that for grant money or towards our portion for the grant money, our 50%. However, it's not designated parks, then there's hoops that the city has to go through to sell it. And again, that's an attorney question that we'd have to ask. I don't know. That's some, I get, like I said, maybe it's something that we have to ask the attorneys. But there's more hoops for a city to actually sell a piece of land. than just put it up for real estate and then the first buyer to come by. You actually have to put it out for like a public auction.
Okay,
Okay.
So
So how often, may I ask
Sean.
how often it happens?
I would say since the city's already spent money for a master plan and these parks are in that park master plan, I would almost think that the city would not want to sell the land that they've already designed in their master plan. But again, city council can do whatever they want to do.
Right.
And
But
again, if anything's a park land, it's still city land. They just have to go through probably more administrative hoops to sell it, but it's still city land.
Gotcha.
But a lot of the thing is, Sean, also there's a thing where most of our park areas, they're floodplains, they're not really sellable because you can't put anything on, like in the where the gas pipes are, you can't put anything, if I remember correctly, you can't put anything permanently on the ground there because if they need to get into the gas line or something.
Yes, and again, that's where most cities' parkland are areas that are not conducive to development because of
Correct.
drainways or gas easements or some type of easement or the location of the piece of property. And so, yeah, again, the majority of the parks that we have are in possibly a drainage way that it makes it too difficult to develop as a residential or commercial.
Okay. Okay. Does that help you, Caitlin, at all?
Yeah, a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on that?
No,
And I
just
think
though, as far as what's been said, I would certainly hate to see any of our designated parkland at this point go have the council sell it off unless it was to be used for parks, because we really need more parks in the area. That was the whole part of this, and it seems counterproductive to even consider that at this point.
Well,
I realize
it was
we don't
something
have
that was
the
brought, it was
say.
something that was brought up at a council meeting, and Caitlin had questions about it, and I figured this was the best place to answer any questions. So,
Absolutely.
Sean, what is your recommendation? Do you think we're okay, or do we need to take something before the council to be voted on?
that's why I'm trying, for legal reasons. Again, I'm not an attorney. Again, the park board makes a recommendation. And so could a motion be passed that the city council makes a pledge to not sell any parkland that is mentioned in the master plan? And I mean, again, that's just a recommend. I mean, again, that's all what, the park board can do is make a, vote on a recommendation to go to council that they would make a, pledge not to. However, a next council meeting, they can undo if they want to, so again, it could be a
But as far as
formality.
recommending that it be designated as parkland, what is your recommendation? To leave it like it is
I would right now leave it
for
like
now?
it is. Yeah, if there's not any
Okay.
parkland that is not designated, that's an asset that we could use for future to offset grant money that we would have to come up with matching
Okay.
grant.
Okay.
Like I said, the only thing I think we probably could do is make basically make a motion that the city council would, pledge not to, sell any land that's in the park master plan, because we can't say designated parks because I don't know if what land or if any of that land has already been officially designated as park
I don't
land.
think so.
So I mean that's the only thing I think we could do. Again, that's gonna be maybe above my pay grade on that part with the attorneys. So, but I mean, again, that's, again, the park board can make a recommendation that no land be sold that's in the master plan, park master plan. Council can then take that recommendation and do what they want to with it.
So, guys, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to recommend that they not sell any of the parks that we have now as a in the plan, or just leave?
Yeah, just know that, like, again, a lot of this land is not developable. You know, the 40 acres is all floodplain. The park that's down in Ellis is in floodplain, and the school owns a part of it. The property that's on, was it West Morris in that area? There's like a drainage easement that runs right through there, and so,
Yeah.
you know, it'd be very hard to develop majority of the park land.
Well, aren't they going to fix, once the developers fix those houses over there, aren't they supposed to do drainage things so that that drainage is better?
Yeah, but it's still a drainage easement, and you can't build in a drainage easement.
Okay, all right. Okay, so are there any motions that y'all want to make?
Well, I'm trying to figure out if it's really, would it benefit us at this point? Because I really don't want to see the parkland be. I'll make the motion that we, that all designated parkland in the master plan basically be left for parkland and not be sold at this time.
And that's just the parks that we have on the
So like a
master plan.
declaration that they can't be sold in the, within the
Plan.
master plan?
Everything that's in.
What's gonna happen on Saturday when they do the workshop, what they come up with?
Well,
That Saturday workshop's been canceled.
What?
it's been canceled because of, I don't know, it's just been canceled because of the virtual and the in-person. They're trying to figure that all out. They have some work to do to figure
They
it
wanna
out.
force people to show
What
up.
happened? Huh?
They wanna force people to show up. Okay.
Okay, so.
We were given a directive.
Huh? What,
Yes,
Sean?
we were told that it needs to be canceled to create a plan to have possibly in-person meetings.
Okay,
Are they still gonna do the virtual with it?
I can't answer that right now. They are trying to create a policy to cover everything.
Okay.
okay, well, that's not on the agenda, so we need to, so the motion is that you want, go ahead, tell me what the motion is.
That all the parkland currently designated in the parks master plan be, not be sold off or reappropriated anyway at this time.
Okay,
I'll second that, Tommy.
okay.
But we can't use the word designated because it's not designated. Right, Sean?
I wouldn't use designated. I just would put the land listed into the master plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the listed is
The
fine.
land that's listed in the master plan is
The
what she's,
park master plan.
and Caitlin, you second it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, let's go for a vote. Myself, I say aye. Debbie,
Aye.
Candace,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
and Caitlin.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. I will talk to Cynthia about that and have it put on the agenda for Thursday, next Thursday. Okay, the last thing we want to discuss is the park in Bywell, the number 6. we just kind of want to discuss and any necessary action regarding number 6 buy well. And that's anything to do with it. I mean, you've seen the plan. To me, it looks really crowded, but we can work on that and see what comes up. But Sean, you were going to check out with was it Kimley Horn or something, that the branch?
Yeah, yes, I went and talked to the company that is doing our CDBG grant for us,
Okay.
and I talked to them about Texas Parks and Wildlife grants that are out there. We kind of fall under 2 grants that we can receive. One is the small community grant, and that grant is for about $150,000. However, we would have to match it by 50%. So we would have to, come up with that matching grant.
And what was that for 100 what?
150,000. And so we would have to come up, from my understanding, is it's a 50-50 matching grant. So they put in 150, we would have to put in 150.
Now, we also, if I understand this correctly, the land, whatever the property is worth, that is part of ours. Anytime we get donations, that's part of ours. Anytime that we get what else, Sean?
It comes.
If we get donations from, like, the flowers we want to put in, if we get some flowers donated, that goes towards our part. So we can come up with ways to get our side of it.
Yeah, it's just what is eligible is let me get to my list. So if we want to, where is it at? I just lost my spot. Bear with me. So the way we can match the grant is through cash or EDC funds.
What's
Economic development funds.
Okay.
Some company, some cities have EDC for economic development, where it's usually like it's a quarter-cent sales tax goes to EDC, and it's to help to attract businesses.
Okay.
And so another one is in-house labor, equipment, or materials. Application is publicly owned, non-park land. So again, if it's not designated, then we can designate parkland, and based on that value, we can use that value as our portion. Again, fees are cash in lieu of mandatory dedication of parkland, donated land, cash, labor, equipment, materials, or other grants awarded. However, again, it comes out to be what we want in that property. $150,000. If we do it all, if we can somehow come up with, $150,000 ourselves through, donations or labor or equipment, but it only gives us $150,000 for design. And so that's not much to design and develop a park. So that's one thing we just got to look at.
$150? What did you say?
$150,000 to design and develop a park, if we don't match it, is not a lot of money to develop a park.
So you're talking, we have to have $150,000 and they have to have $150,000. So the total would be $300,000, right?
Yes.
Okay, is $300,000 not a lot for a park?
It depends on the assets that we put in there.
Well, it's a pocket park, so I didn't think it would be really that big.
Well, it's a pocket park. I didn't think it was a pocket park.
The
Yeah,
Bywell, number 6
Yeah,
is
this one
a
is.
pocket. Now there's an outside that is almost 40 acres, but that's on the back side, and we don't have any kind of money to do anything with that right now. So, but I was thinking maybe we could get like children's what do you call it, playground donated by somebody. And I don't know.
There are like other playground facilities, Playwell. I think there's Playwell. There's Total Recreation that also does grant works. We'll just have to be researched on. And Kaboom has it. If our, if we can get that as part of our portion, that could offset the cost. Again, how are we going to
We want
develop
to
it?
offset the cost as much as we possibly can.
Yes.
So what do we need to do first? Do we need to hire or talk to an engineer about planning it?
I've sent those plans to Kimley Horn just to actually give us an updated OPCC, just to have their eyes on it, since they've developed many parks before.
Okay.
And kind of get a true life feeling. I know UTA kind of gave theirs. However, they don't bid out these projects per se.
Well, go ahead.
They put these plans together and they go off of associated costs, but they haven't developed and bid out plans and actually truly designed the infrastructure of a park like Kimley Horn. So Kimley Horn can give us a little bit more harder numbers that we can go with, and then we can decide on what we want.
Send them.
Huh?
The ones that, what plans did you send them? Did you send them the plans that University of Arlington made?
Yeah, I sent them the master plan so they can see the layout.
Oh, okay.
So they're just looking at what you're looking at. Again, everything's going to have to be about the topography of the ground. Are we going to have to level it out? So, some of those assets that, once we get into developing the park, UTA might not have looked at because they didn't shoot grade. They're not looking at drainage. They're not looking at, and so again, there's more than just, putting playground on top of ground,
Well, on my opinion, on the number 6 park, when they showed us what everything looked like the playground in the back with it just looked really crowded, like it was overdone.
They put a lot in a little amount of space.
Yes, and you want to have room for the kids to play, not to run into trees or flowers.
Right.
You don't want the flowers that you're going to have trampled on. So it's kind of, we have to figure out a way where we could have like the playground with benches around it so the parents can be close to their kids, because I didn't like the benches all the way at the other end because the parents are going to want to stay by the kids. And put shade around there, and then maybe have some trees, but not as much as they were doing. And I was thinking maybe a gazebo or something would be nice over there.
So
So
is
that
Kimley Horn going to make suggestions or just try to come up with bids for what they were sent?
Well, yeah, basically when they're going to look at the what was kind of the layout, and then, once we get into the actual design portion, that's when we can say, okay, we want this or we want that. Again, you have to get the infrastructure in before you actually can start building.
Right.
Irrigation systems, parking, concrete sidewalks, you know, and then, you know, then playgrounds, and, you know, so we have to get the
So there's really
basics in
nothing we can do
first.
tonight.
Yeah, and again, we don't have to develop the whole park at one time. You know,
Right,
we, you know,
right. We
so
don't have the money to do that.
yeah. So I mean, again, you know, this is more of an information thing. You know, tonight is like basically to apply for grants. You know, the lowest one they have is $150,000. And for the for grant works to do that, it's like $5,000 for the application fee for them to kind of put it together to apply for that grant. And
Okay.
so, you know, so the
So
food
does
for
that
thought
money
is
go
okay.
towards our 150,000? Is that
No,
5,000?
no,
No, okay.
yeah, because that's just their administration fee to. So engineering fees and all that stuff does not go uh, uh, towards the to the, I guess, the our portion of the 150,000.
Okay. So, do
So
you
we
have
have
any clue of how much it's going to cost to get, once we get the land where we want it, and then how much does it cost to have like a architect do a whole vision thing plan?
yeah, that's why I have it sent to the park architect for Kinley Horn, so he can actually look at it, and maybe prescribe phases for us.
Okay.
'Cause, again, what we can do in phases or what we have available. Like I said, budget's coming up. You know, do we want to go ahead and request the $5,000 to be put in the budget for grant works? How much do we want? You know, to try to go for, and this is going to be all based on scenarios that maybe Kinley Horn can give us on what we can do in phases. You
Okay.
know,
And when should we have that to us?
I'm hoping probably by the end of March.
Okay. So it can't go in the work. Well, they're trying to do the workshop at the end of March, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's
So
what.
yeah. So I don't know. Oh, I mean, if I have that, I can put it in the workshop. But most part of the workshop, we'll just tell them that we're developing Bywell 6 for the next couple of years.
Yes. Probably 3
Um,
or 4.
yeah. And so it's just a thing is for y'all is to kind of get, all right, I don't want to, I don't want to be piecemealed, but we just have to kind of look at what steps we're going to go forward, and that, to apply for grants is going to take, I guess we got to have skin in the game, and that's the way with Texas Parks and Wildlife. I heard it's a process, but, and again, the highest match that we can get is 750,000. And I know that's going to be out for us for right now.
Yeah.
So, there's all different ways of alternative. Before, it could be something that, again, a donation drive, a park donation drive, that's donated the money to, development of parks. We can go get money from companies, any company
Well,
that might be.
I tried to do that at one time, but the problem was I didn't have a plan to show them what we were
Yeah.
trying to do. So it just didn't work.
I mean, now you have a plan. You say, hey, this is our master plan. You could, maybe do something with it. I know, like when I was talking to the grant guys, especially when the oil boom is going, you had a lot of people in West, a lot of companies in West Texas just donating all sorts of money to cities for their parks, because it's a write-off for them. Same way with East Texas. And so again, it might take some legwork for the committee to go out there and say, okay, Loves or another corporation, hey, we are developing a park, put a plaque in your name, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, we could use that assets then as offset the our 50% matching. Whatever donations we can get, and we can say, okay, and we can show Texas Parks and Wildlife, this is how much we have, this is, or how much this is, how much we're generating through fees to offset our 150,000, you know, then it's, you know, then it's more viable that we'll get that grant.
Okay. So does that sound like a plan to everybody?
Yeah, but what do we don't take any action tonight, right?
Yeah, there's
No.
no action. I mean, yes,
Discussion to get things moving, to get things started. It's going to take a while. I mean, we're not going to be able to do this overnight. Because I know grants take a while. It all takes a lot, and plus it takes a lot of money on our part, so we have to be sure that we're willing to go out there and get the donations and get the all the things we need. So it'll take a while. So yeah, this is just discussion.
yeah, the grant deadline
Make a motion
right
to do
now.
anything tonight.
Yeah,
What is it, Sean?
the grant deadline for the small community park, and it's considered probable because again, it's based on funding, is October 1st right now.
This year?
Yeah, October. Yeah, so October 1st is actually the deadline for the application to be filed. If
Okay,
we
so
want, if we want to try to move ahead, you know, and in 2022 or 21-22, then the application would immediately be filed by October 1st. But then we would have to have all our ducks in a row on our portion of $150,000.
that's what I need to know. When do they want the $150,000?
I was
What are
even
your
thinking, what about $5,000? Like, when do you have to put the $5,000 up?
The $5,000 would be you're at the beginning of the application for them to actually start the process to
So
start
we would,
filling.
And that we have, Candace.
Oh,
We have that.
but do we have to ask permission to use that, or can we
Yes.
just use it? Well,
Yes,
okay.
we have to have permission. Well, it's in the budget, and it's in the budget for, I think, parks.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we would probably still have to go in front of the council to get their permission or get their blessing. But yeah, that's what it's there for.
Okay.
Is to start the new parks.
Yes, yeah, you'd have to go to the council, but due to the fact that we would have to enter into a contract agreement with GrantWorks, and so the city would have to enter in that agreement. So yes, you would have to take it to council to enter into that contract with GrantWorks.
Okay. Any other questions?
So no matter what, if you don't get it, they still get the $5,000, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Why is that different from the one that they're talking about with the water and wastewater? That you don't have to pay if you don't get in.
It's a different process from when I talked to him.
Oh, okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Is it with the same company, or is it with a different company?
It's the same company. They said that's
So
the way that because Parks and Wildlife is not always guaranteed. Most of the time, the the other application is more guaranteed.
Guaranteed on what?
That the funding will be available
Oh,
because the city doesn't, because it's not matching grants. Because here's the is that they're going on out on a limb that we are going to do our part on getting the $150,000. And if we don't do our part, then the grant might not go through. And so we didn't do our part to uphold our end. So there's
how
too
many
much.
people, I have a question. So this company that we're using, they get the $5,000. How many other people are they allowed to solicit to get this grant? So are they just soliciting just us, or are they soliciting, let's say, 10 other cities where each one of them has to pay the $5,000, or is it just us that they're working with this grant?
I can't answer that. It's what their fee schedule is. So for the small grants, like that's 5,000. For the large grants, it's 6,000. For the recreation trail grants, it's 7,000, and boat access grants is 7,000.
Let me ask you this: if we were to take a loan out, how much would we have to pay on $150,000 or even $300,000? How much? Does that make sense? I guess it wouldn't matter because I mean we'd get $150,000 free anyway, not free, but we'd have that for the grant money. But like that $5,000 to me seems like a lot of money, almost like an interest. It seems like a lot of money to spend. Like if you went to the bank and took out a loan for $150,000 as a city, how much would we have to pay to that compared to the $5,000 that we would have to pay them? Does that make sense?
I can't answer any type of banking questions like that.
Candace, from what I understand, doing a grant is very hard work. It's very tedious work. It's very,
Right.
very
Yeah.
detailed. That's all I know about grant work. And I
But
don't know
it's
how to do it.
to do with the same company that I guess ever since we started with this company, it just seems like there's a lot of, I don't know, red flags is how I feel. So like with these people that are trying to get the $150,000 for us, and we have to get the $150,000. What happens if, let's say, we pay the $5,000 and they start working with us, and we say, okay, we have this that we can use as collateral for the $150,000, and can they say, no, we're not going to take that as the collateral? Like what are the rules of, oh, the land is, let's say the land is worth $5,000. Can we use that $5,000 towards the $150,000 that we have to come up with? Are they going to say, well, I don't think it's worth $5,000. It's only worth $2,000. Does that make sense? It's like, who determines how much the $150,000 accumulates up to that we have to show? Like right this second, Rome cannot pull out $150,000 and hand it to them, correct? So we would have to find like donations and like pieces of like property to throw up as collateral. $150,000, getting all that together. Who's to determine? I mean, I could say, oh yeah, I'm going to put my truck in there. Who's to say what's fair game for $150,000?
The Parks and Wildlife sets regulations of what can be, and I kind of read that off. Cash donations, the land that you're going to build it on can be is actually the value of the land. So where that piece of property is appraised at, they can't say, no, that's not worth that much. It's what the appraisal value is of that land. And so that's what you go with. Same way with work hours. You would have to calculate how many hours of work that you would, the city would put into, or the equipment, all that stuff, and the calculations that Parks and Wildlife probably has. That's what Grant Works is there for, saying, okay, if you're going to offset time and all that stuff, they'll probably collect all the information and then calculate that in. And so they're not going to say, Grant Works is there to help us. That's their whole job, is to make sure that the cities get their grants. If they didn't, then they wouldn't be in business. And so they'll do everything in their power to get us to that point.
So how many other cities are they working for on that same grant?
I can't answer that.
He doesn't know.
Okay.
I mean, they're a very large company, so who knows?
Any other questions?
Sean, did you say that there was another alternative besides the Park and Rec Fund grant? Did you say there was another one?
Grant.
Yeah, there's like playground grants out there that somebody there's playground like Kaboom, there's Play World, there's Total Recreation playground companies. They all have different types of grants.
Okay.
So, I mean, if somebody wants to research those and look into it and see what it takes, those assets, if we can be awarded, possibly could be used as part of our 150,000 per se, because it's another entity bringing us this value piece of equipment, could offset the cost.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait a minute. Is there any future agenda items?
Yes, I have a future agenda item.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, bathrooms are coming up. We've been to the park in the last, let's say, 2 months. We've been there 3 or 4 times, and the boys have to pee behind the tree. Is there any way that we can have it where, I mean, there's cameras set up. Is there any way that we can have it set up so that the kids, I mean, it's there. It's so maybe can we talk about on the next agenda on times when the bathrooms can be open?
Okay.
And I know that's taken away from somebody that would have to open it, but I mean, literally every time we go, we're peeing behind a tree, and I see a lot of the basketball players having to go and pee behind trees, and it's just weird.
Okay. All right. We will discuss that next meeting.
Okay.
Anything else?
I make
Okay.
a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Debbie made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
A second.
Candace seconds. Okay. I say aye. Debbie?
Aye.
Candace?
Aye.
Kathy? And Caitlin?
Aye.
Okay, then we are adjourned. I miss my gavel.
Boom,
Sean,
boom.
thank you so much for being here, and thank you for explaining a lot of the things to us. We appreciate it.
Okay, y'all have a good night.
You too. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.